Students at American University are speaking out over what they say is racially charged harassment. This comes after incidences where a rotting banana was left on the doorstep of a black student, along with a drawing of a penis on a whiteboard attached to her door. American University Black Students Alliance has said, quote, the organization said that the actions were part of a pattern of behavior at the university last year. Racist epithets were written on dorm doors of black students, so this is a pattern, is what they are saying. The university has gone on record saying that these are not characterized as bias related and announced that conduct charges were taking place through student conduct process, and also that they were going to be holding sort of a town hall meeting of healing for the student body community. Now, the Black Student Alliance just says that this is simply not enough. They say, quote, black women are under threat on campus. They are being used as target practice. We are literally being attacked and assaulted on campus, and there's nothing being done about it by the administration. So what they have done is they've sort of sparked a grassroots movement on their campus. They are putting out, let's throw to graphic one, about the harassment on the campus that they're doing on Twitter, where they are basically just posting these around campus. The first week at hashtag #TheRealAU may include having rotten bananas thrown at you. I want to get your reactions from this. Do you think that there is a racially motivated intention behind this?
Yeah, I mean, when you throw a banana, and then there's also history in American University, when I look deeper into it, of students putting Trump stickers on specific like Latino dorms. There's instances where they've written the N-word around campus. But by the way, there's an update to the story. The president actually did come out and say, University President Neil Kerman made a statement where he said, we will confront racist expressions with forceful condemnation and respond to discrimination with every tool at our disposal.
As they should.
So they are, because initially I was like, this is outrageous that the university spokesperson totally came out and said, this is not enough for us to declare that this is racially charged, when it's like, come on, you're throwing bananas.
And they wouldn't even say racist in the statement. It says not characterized as bias related.
Yeah, exactly. It's what was she thinking? Like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, what? Did they want to put a banana down there so they could slip and fall on it? Like, what other explanation is out there for it? And then you put a penis on there as well. It's still discriminatory regardless of whether it's because of the color of their skin or because they're women.
Jason, I want to get your reaction.
I agree 100% with Hassan. You know, these students pay tuition to come to the school. If it's one time or two times, one time is one too many, and I can't talk to you in the depths of my soul, I feel that the minute that this caught light with administration or the powers that be, every force in their arsenal should have been brought out and made sure that these students felt safe, that this was eradicated from campus, and that's the end of it. It shouldn't have to. These students should not have to do a grassroots initiative to bring light to something like this. It's ridiculous. So yeah, Hassan, 100% in your corner about this. I mean, it's 2016. You know, like racism and people. And what still blows my mind too is that people think that racism doesn't exist still. Which is like what rock are you living under? It's so prevalent. It's in pop culture daily. So yeah, I mean.
So, from you guys, what do you think is specific action that can be taken on college campuses across the United States to make sure that incidents like this don't happen? Because we've talked a lot about how we just need to, have these meetings and these sort of come to Jesus moments, and I just don't think that that's enough. What is specific action that we can take? Maybe it's in the form of punishment, or maybe it's in the form of encouragement. What do you think?
I think inclusion is the most important concept.
How?
Like, I talk about this all the time with Islam-related issues in America and worldwide. Look, you need to include people. Like, when I'm going to tell you guys a story about this racist dude that Jaime Camille actually told me. There is a common statement that like a lot of racist people will usually say when they are forced to interact with someone from a race that they're not normally interacting with. They'll say, you're one of the good guys. Like, you're not like the rest of them. But in reality, no, like every other person of color is also a normal person. You just were forced to interact with that person, so now you understand that they're just a regular human just like you. So they're not lesser than. There's no difference. There's just maybe a little bit of difference in culture. And what I take from that is that you need to be surrounded by these people. You need to understand their culture a little bit better. Therefore, and that's the best possible way to eliminate racism on college campuses and everywhere else.
Jason, can I get a thought from you on how can we promote inclusion on college campuses? What is a specific form of action that college campuses can look to take?
You know, that's a hard question because you can't really include someone who doesn't want to be included. You know, if I feel a certain way about a race, you know, then and regardless of how much you try to include me, if my heart of hearts and my beliefs tell me differently, I'm not going to go with it. You know, so that's I really can't answer that. I think that the initial question was, is there one specific thing that we can do? I don't think there is. I think that you just need to keep. It's like a broken record, I know, but you just got to keep putting it out there that this is not acceptable, and there's consequences that you will have to pay.
I do think that making sure that there are consequences, that there is swift action when kids do dumb things, racist things like this on campus, I think that's so important. Too often they're going to be reprimanded, they're going to be talked to. No, there should be consequences. This behavior isn't acceptable, and I like that the president of American University has come out and said that, because it's not enough to just say we're going to have a town hall meeting, we're all going to come together, and because the thing with town hall meetings like that, because I remember I went to Elon University, and we had a similar sort of incident on our campus. The racists don't go to those meetings.
Right.
You know, it can be an open door policy. Everyone is welcome at this meeting. Great. Well, they don't want to be there. So I think that it's important that there are consequences.
Like, for example, they will ensure that there's at least one sort of like gender studies class that you need to take, or some sort of like African American studies class that you need to take before you graduate from college in order to get your degree. And I think those things are really important. I think forcing people to understand that, like, college is a big part. Like, a big part of college is learning other cultures, expanding your worldview.
Getting outside of yourself.
Yeah, getting outside of yourself, getting outside of your normal circle. Like, if you're a kid that grew up in Missouri and you somehow happen to find yourself in an area where there's different demographics that you had never encountered before, you take advantage of that instead of trying to stay within your own community, because that breeds even more polarization, even more hatred that way, when you're like, oh, look at them, like it's a us versus them mentality, which is why I mentioned inclusion. What college campuses can do and do aside from forcing certain aspects into the curriculum, what they can do is just hold like events that center around that. Like they do cool, fun stuff. Food is a really important thing. Cuisine.
Food brings people together.
No, exactly. Everyone
It does. I'm not kidding, it does.
Eats. So what you can do is showcase like the cuisines of different cultures. That's one of the best ways that you can reach out to your community in college campuses. If you're in like a Latino fraternity, if you're in a black fraternity, like historically, if you have these sort of events, if you organize these sort of events, and not just turn the other cheek, but also like almost forcibly promote your culture that way, I think, and this is asking a lot of students of color more so than the other students that are being intolerant, but I think that is one way to possibly reach out to those racist assholes on college campuses.
I would say, I don't know how you feel about this, Jason, but if I was a student of color, I'm just trying to like picture it, which is obviously very hard. It would be like, I don't want to fucking open up my doors and feed these racists. You know what I mean? Well, it's not my fault that they are racists. Why should I invite them in? You know?
Well, I mean, it all depends on the person, though, because I mean, I've been a victim of racism. You know, I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. There's not a lot of racist people in Albuquerque. I mean, there's racism everywhere, but I mean, there was one instance back in high school where I was definitely targeted, and it was, really scary. It's right after Columbine, and so people felt a certain way. But I agree with you. They're not going to want to do that. But I do think if we're going to want inclusion, the people that are said victims might have to be the bigger people and reach out.
Exactly. And it's asking a lot. Like, I completely understand that. And you're forced to be the bigger person, not only in the sense that you have to forgive the people that are persecuting you in a completely unwarranted and messed up way, but I think that's one path to possible inclusion. Because there's no other way.
Right.
Because the racist person, like, when you're a baby, you're not born a racist baby. Yes, there's some studies that say that there's a genetic predisposition to possibly be a little bit more racist than other people or things of that nature. But normally, when you don't see any color when you're born. I'm the perfect example of that. There's no black people in Turkey, so the only understanding I have of like African American culture is from American movies, like depictions of black people in movies. So, but I have no historical context. I have no bias. When I first came out here, I was just like, these are normal people. Like, I'd never had any sort of idea that like a black person is different than me in any way, shape, or form, because I didn't grow up with that.
We're not programmed to be racist, so we need to deprogram the people who have become programmed that way. I think that's a good point to end on.
You get hours of extra content if you're a Young Turks member. TYTnetwork.com/join.
Go ahead, girl.